Welcome to this segment of Protecting Wealth. In this 4-minute excerpt, Asset Sure's Tara Bramwell and Pro Writer's Brian Thornton delve into the latest SEC cybersecurity regulations affecting publicly traded companies. They discuss the requirements of risk management, governance, and disclosure of material events. Learn what financial advisors should do to help their clients be better prepared for cyber incidents. Let's hear their insights.
Hi, Brian. Thank you for joining us today. Our audience today are financial companies regulated by the SEC.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here to talk to you today.
In 2023, the SEC implemented new regulations governing publicly traded companies, specifically in the area of cyber incident reporting, proactive risk management measures, and third-party vendor oversight. Can you tell our audience today some of the things that the SEC put in place for these publicly traded companies?
So yes, in 2023, the SEC updated their cybersecurity rules. Some of this was really an update to what they did in 2018. And so, some of the key things were there is a focus on risk management and governance. There's a new focus on disclosing material cybersecurity events. And that can be tricky to determine what they mean by material. Often you might need attorneys involved just to determine whether you need to notify. But they must be disclosed within 4 business days after they are deemed material. And so, certain conditions allow for kind of delayed filings based on, if there's a national security concern or something like that. A lot of this obviously is going to apply to large organizations. But I think something to be aware of is that while some of this applies to large organizations, often smaller businesses, investment shops, you are viewed as a vendor of some of these larger shops, right? If you have access to their systems, sometimes you might be the gateway into their system. We've seen it with big breaches before. They potentially get into your system and then use that access to get into a larger corporation systems. They might use your system to send fraudulent emails. Could be downstream to your clients, but also upstream to vendors to try to get into a system, to try to get access. And then once they get in, they try to spread laterally. And so it is something to be aware of. But the key thing is really knowing, showing that you've had a focus on cyber risk management, that you've got governance. If you have a board, that your board is aware of this and is focused on it. If there is an event, that you've got a plan in place in how you're going to reply, who you're going to have within your organization and what they're going to do. So often we recommend that people do these tabletop exercises where they bring in potentially the attorney they work with or even their insurance company and walk through the process, because people that haven't done this, often when a claim hits, they can't even access their insurance policy. They don't know how to notify. They don't know where to begin. They don't have a relationship with a cyber law firm that's pre-approved by the carrier. Those are the ones that you should be using as opposed to trying to get approval for your own, because they're going to know all the rules and regulations and the things that you need to do and the timing that you need to do them with. And they're going to be the ones that coordinate with your carrier, with the forensics firm, with you guys, the end insured. So that's important. I think the goal of this updated cybersecurity rules is really to make sure that people are reporting claims to them and reporting them in a timely manner, but also because they want to have a record of all these claims. They want to have a database. They want to understand what's actually happening, as opposed to if people are sweeping things under the rug or not reporting them in the way that they'd like. So there is a good deal more responsibility on larger public companies in filing reports with the government, making sure that they disclose all the material information. And so, as part of this, the bigger companies have to conduct periodic cyber risk assessments. They need to have, audit and compliance functions, and they need to kind of proactively be managing cybersecurity throughout the year. And so, most larger companies are going to have to align their cyber risk posture with the SEC's guidelines to make sure that they can be compliant. But it is worth going through the process and understanding what your responsibilities are as a larger business, and make sure that you've been through the process as a test before you have to do it in a live environment. Because often you won't have access to your documents, so you really are behind the 8 ball if you've not practiced this and kind of know who's responsible for what.
Thank you, Brian, for joining us today and sharing your insights as it relates to cyber preparedness, proactive risk management tools available, and the best ways for our companies to be prepared when it comes to their supply chain oversight. We really appreciate you joining us today.